Ethan Cole wiped his hands on a rag, leaving a streak of oil across his forearm. The night sky over the small human outpost stretched endlessly, filled with stars that seemed so close he could almost touch them. The settlement was quiet, peaceful in a way that often lulled him into boredom. Most alien travelers avoided this part of the galaxy. Humans were considered primitive, their technology clumsy and their civilization too small to matter. Ethan had long ago accepted that the galaxy might never notice him. But still, he loved working in his small repair bay, surrounded by old engines, broken circuits, and a few spare robot arms he had salvaged from failed mining drones. He was finishing up repairs on an old hover truck when a bright light streaked across the sky. At first, he thought it was another meteor, the same as the hundreds that passed overhead every night. But this light moved too deliberately, too sharply until it slammed into the rocky terrain a few hundred meters from the settlement. A shockwave rattled the doors of his workshop and he stumbled, grabbing the edge of the workbench. Dust fell from the ceiling and a strange metallic hum filled the air. Ethan ran outside, heart pounding. He could see the wreck before he reached it, a sleek silver ship unlike anything he had ever seen. Its surface shimmered with a light that seemed to flow like water, and delicate panels were bent and twisted. Sparks erupted from one side of the vessel, and smoke curled into the night sky. He had worked on plenty of old ships, even a few alien ones that had stopped by accidentally. But this was different. This was art in motion, now broken. He slowed as he approached, unsure what to expect. The hatch opened with a hiss and a figure emerged. Ethan froze. She was tall, taller than most humans, with glowing skin that shimmered faintly in the moonlight. Her hair floated gently around her head as if caught in a subtle breeze. She had large, expressive eyes, and her movements were precise and careful, like every step was measured. She looked alien, not terrifying, not monstrous, but elegant, almost ethereal. Ethan blinked, unsure whether to greet her or run. I am Lyra Voss, the woman said, her voice melodic but tinged with exhaustion. My ship, it is damaged. I need assistance. Ethan swallowed. I can try. I'm a mechanic, he said, his voice sounding smaller than he hoped. He pointed to his workshop. I have tools. I can fix things. Lyra's eyes narrowed slightly. You are human? There was disbelief in her tone, as though the idea was almost absurd. Humans were known in her circles as simple, clumsy, incapable of understanding advanced technology. Ethan nodded. Yep, human, but I've fixed all kinds of machines. Yours might be tricky, but I'll do my best. Her expression softened just a fraction. She had no other choice. The damage to her ship was severe. Its power core was shattered, circuits fried, and the propulsion system completely offline. No Aurelian rescue could reach her in time. She had traveled across light years only to be stranded on a planet humans considered insignificant. Follow me, Ethan said, motioning toward his workshop. He led Lyra carefully over the rocky ground, aware of every step she took. Her feet didn't touch the ground the same way human feet did. She moved with a lightness that seemed unnatural, almost graceful. Inside the workshop, Lyra's eyes widened. The space was cramped, filled with half-finished engines, cables coiled like snakes, and the faint smell of oil and burnt metal. Ethan shrugged. It's not much, but it works. Lyra walked around the workshop, her fingers brushing over tools she had never seen. She tilted her head, inspecting everything with an analytical gaze. These tools, they are primitive. But your confidence is unusual, Ethan smiled. Confidence comes from fixing things you don't understand yet. You just figure it out as you go. He got to work immediately, opening panels on the ship, examining circuits and testing components. Sparks flew from time to time, and Lyra flinched, unused to the roughness of human machinery. But she didn't intervene. She watched closely, her eyes full of curiosity. Hours passed. Ethan worked tirelessly, using both his hands and his mind. The Aurelian technology was far beyond anything humans had invented, but he didn't see it as a problem. He saw it as a puzzle. Panels that required delicate tuning were jerry-rigged with human ingenuity. Broken circuits were replaced with connectors made from scrap metal. He even crafted a temporary fusion stabilizer from parts intended for old hover trucks. Are you certain this will work? Lyra asked after a while, her voice cautious. Ethan wiped sweat from his brow and looked up. I can't promise it will work perfectly, but I can promise it will fly. She nodded slowly, watching him work with a mixture of disbelief and growing respect. She had been trained her whole life to believe that humans could not comprehend the intricacies of Aurelian technology. Yet here he was, calmly diagnosing problems, improvising solutions, and handling equipment that would overwhelm even her trained crew. By the second day, the repair was nearly complete. Ethan had been working almost non-stop, but he felt a sense of pride he hadn't experienced in a long time. This was more than a job. This was proving to himself and to the galaxy that humans were capable of remarkable things. Finally, he flipped a switch. The ship shuddered, a low hum vibrating through the floor. Lights flickered across its surface, faint at first, then brighter. The propulsion system sparked to life, and the ship lifted slightly from the ground. Lyra gasped, stepping back in surprise. It works," she whispered. Her eyes glistened with a mix of awe and relief. How did you manage this?" Ethan grinned, brushing soot from his hands. "Didn't need a diagnostic core. Just listened." She laughed softly, a sound that carried both wonder and disbelief. "Humans, you are full of surprises." They spent a few more hours running tests, adjusting minor systems and ensuring the ship could travel safely. Lyra remained close, observing every move, occasionally asking questions. Ethan answered as best as he could, explaining in simple terms what he had done. By nightfall, the ship was ready. Its surface gleamed under the starlight, its systems humming steadily. Ethan stepped back, exhausted but satisfied. "You have done something extraordinary," Lyra said quietly. "Your work. It is more than repair, it is genius," Ethan shrugged, smiling. "Guess humans aren't as small as everyone thinks." For the first time, Lyra looked at humans differently. She had always believed that advanced technology meant superiority, that humans could never match the precision and brilliance of the Aurelians. But Ethan had shown her another truth. Ingenuity, creativity, and determination could surpass even the most advanced tools. That night, as Ethan watched her climb back into the ship, she sent a message to her fleet. It wasn't a call for rescue. It was a report, a recognition of something rare. A human who had repaired an Aurelian ship using nothing but intuition, stubbornness, and a refusal to accept impossible. Ethan waved as the ship lifted off the ground. Sparks flew from the engine, fading into the night sky, and for a moment, he felt part of something much larger than himself. Somewhere out there among the stars, the galaxy had noticed a human mechanic, not because of his wealth, his rank, or his strength, but because of his heart and his mind. As the ship disappeared into the night, Ethan returned to his workshop, already thinking of what he could fix next. He didn't know what adventures awaited, but one thing was certain. The galaxy was suddenly a lot more interesting. And in that quiet, dusty outpost on the edge of the galaxy, a simple human mechanic had made his mark. The morning sun rose over the dusty outpost, painting the settlement in shades of gold and bronze. Ethan Cole was already awake, hands blackened from oil and metal dust, surrounded by the scattered remnants of Lyra's ship. Though the ship had lifted off the ground the night before, it was still far from fully repaired. The propulsion system was only stabilized temporarily, and the intricate Aurelian circuits required precise tuning. Ethan rubbed his eyes and took a deep breath. The quiet hum of the outpost's machines was comforting. He liked the routine of repairing engines, of seeing broken things come back to life. But Lyra's ship was different. It was alive in a way no human machine had ever been. Its technology was far beyond anything Earth had produced, with circuits that glowed faintly, responding to touch and thought, rather than physical switches. Lyra was seated nearby on a smooth rock, watching him carefully. She didn't speak much, Aurelians rarely needed words, but her eyes were constantly observing, studying, analyzing. She had insisted on staying, not because she feared leaving her ship, but because she wanted to see how a human approached a challenge her own people might have failed at. "Your tools are crude," she said softly, her voice melodic but curious. "And yet you seem certain of every move." Ethan wiped his hands and grinned. "Sometimes it's not the tools. It's how you use them." He picked up a thin copper wire and held it against the ship's open control panel. "This little thing can either fry a circuit or make the ship fly. It's all about how you connect it." Lyra raised an eyebrow. "You speak as if you understand the flow of energy." Intuitively, Ethan shrugged. "I guess I just listen. Machines tell you what they need if you pay attention." For hours he worked. He rewired circuits that glowed faintly in colors that humans couldn't even name. He fashioned connectors from old hover truck parts, adjusted delicate cores with tools not designed for such precision, and even used parts from his own personal drones to stabilize the energy flow. Sparks flew from time to time, but Ethan didn't panic. Each spark was a message. The machine was alive and responding. Lyra watched silently, impressed despite herself. Humans weren't supposed to do this. Their minds were supposed to think in rigid ways, their tools too primitive for complex repairs. Yet here was Ethan, working steadily, making sense of something that had baffled the most experienced Aurelian engineers. "Are you certain this will work?" Lyra asked, finally breaking her silence. Ethan looked up, sweat running down his brow. "I can't promise perfection," he admitted, "but I can promise it will fly. Maybe not smoothly, but it will fly." She tilted her head, considering. Aurelians prized perfection. Even small flaws were unacceptable. Yet she had no other choice. "Then we shall see," she said, her tone neutral but hopeful. As he worked, Ethan explained his thought process in simple terms. "Your circuits are strange. They flow like water, not electricity, so I had to build bridges where the flow was blocked. These bridges aren't perfect, but they'll hold long enough for you to travel." Lyra's eyes widened. "Bridges? You speak metaphorically?" "Kind of," Ethan said, smiling. "But the circuits understand." The first day was long and exhausting. Ethan's hands ached and his mind was on overdrive. Yet he felt alive, more alive than he had in years. Every challenge the ship presented sparked creativity in him. Every problem solved was a victory, not just over the machine, but over the doubt that humans could be anything more than simple observers in a vast galaxy. When night fell, he paused to look at his work. The ship's propulsion system was humming steadily, though not perfectly. The energy circuits glowed faintly, responding to his adjustments. It wasn't flawless, but it was alive. Ethan sat back, exhausted but satisfied. Lyra studied him, eyes shining. "You do not follow the rules of engineering," she said. "You create new ones." Ethan laughed quietly. "Guess humans are good at bending the rules when we need to." The second day brought new challenges. Ethan discovered that one of the ship's primary stabilizers was damaged beyond repair. Normally, an Aurelian engineer would have replaced it with a perfect component, but no such part was available here. Ethan examined it carefully, running his hands over the intricate patterns. "I can make a replacement," he muttered to himself. He pulled out pieces of metal, wires, and an old energy coil he had salvaged from a mining drone. With patience and careful adjustments, he fashioned a hybrid stabilizer. It wasn't elegant, but it functioned. He connected it to the ship, holding his breath as the circuits hummed uncertainly. Then slowly the glow spread evenly. The stabilizer worked. Lyra's eyes widened in disbelief. "Humans, you think in ways we cannot. You improvise, you adapt. You create solutions where none exist." Ethan smiled, wiping the sweat from his forehead. "We have to. If we wait for the perfect tool or perfect instructions, nothing ever gets done." For the rest of the day, he continued working. He adjusted minor systems, repaired panels, and synchronized the energy cores. Lyra assisted only when asked, handing him tools or clarifying parts of the Aurelian design he didn't understand. Slowly, the ship transformed from a wreck into a functioning vessel, a hybrid of human ingenuity and alien technology. By the evening, Ethan had completed the final test on the engines. The ship vibrated softly, its circuits glowing steadily. He stepped back, exhausted but triumphant. "That's it," he said. "She's ready." Lyra stepped forward, examining the ship carefully. Her eyes traced every panel, every line of energy flow. Finally, she turned to Ethan, a smile touching her lips. "It works. Not perfectly, but it works," Ethan laughed quietly. "Perfect is boring anyway." She regarded him for a long moment, her expression softening. "You have done something extraordinary, human. You have repaired what my people would have considered impossible." Ethan shrugged, feeling a warmth in his chest. "I just listened. Sometimes machines tell you what they need if you pay attention." For the first time, Lyra seemed to see humans differently. She had been trained to believe that humans were weak, primitive, and incapable of real innovation. Ethan had shown her that creativity, determination, and problem-solving could surpass even the most advanced technology. As the night settled over the outpost, the two of them worked side by side, running final diagnostics and making small adjustments. Ethan taught Lyra some simple human techniques for repair, and she shared insights into Aurelian technology that humans had never known. By the time the stars blanketed the sky, the ship was ready for launch. Its sleek silver surface gleamed and the energy circuits glowed steadily. Ethan stepped back, feeling a sense of pride unlike any he had known. "You didn't just repair my ship," Lyra said softly, her voice carrying awe and respect. "You understood it?" "In ways we could not," Ethan smiled. "Guess humans aren't as small as everyone thinks." That night, as Lyra climbed into her ship, she sent a quiet message to her fleet. She didn't ask for rescue. She reported something remarkable. A human mechanic had repaired an Aurelian ship using intuition, ingenuity, and persistence. Ethan waved as the ship lifted into the sky, sparks trailing behind it. He felt a quiet thrill. Somewhere out there, the galaxy had noticed him. Not because of rank, wealth, or power, but because of skill, creativity, and heart. Returning to his workshop, Ethan felt renewed. He had faced a challenge far beyond anything humans had attempted before and had succeeded. And though he didn't know what would come next, he knew one thing. Humans, no matter how small they seemed to the galaxy, could achieve the extraordinary. That night, Ethan sat under the stars, listening to the soft hum of machines in his workshop. The galaxy was vast, full of unknown dangers and wonders. But somewhere out there, a human had proven that ingenuity, courage, and determination could shine brighter than even the most advanced technology. For Ethan Cole, life had changed forever. He was no longer just a mechanic in a small outpost. He was a part of something larger, a story that would echo across the stars. One human mind making a difference in a galaxy that had long underestimated his kind. And somewhere above, Lyra's ship traveled through the darkness, carrying with it the proof that humans, even those from dusty, quiet worlds, could rise to meet any challenge and sometimes, surpass even the most advanced civilizations. The sun had barely risen over the rocky outpost when Ethan Cole was already awake, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. The air was dry, carrying the scent of metal and dust from his workshop. Though the previous days had been exhausting, he felt a quiet sense of pride. Lyra's ship was repaired, humming steadily, and he had learned more about Aurelian technology than he ever imagined possible. But the calm would not last. A low, distant hum began to fill the air. Subtle at first, then growing steadily louder. Ethan looked up, squinting at the horizon. A fleet of sleek silver ships appeared, glinting in the morning sun. They moved in formation, precise and intimidating. The Aurelian patrol had arrived. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. He had heard stories about these enforcers. They were strict, loyal, and feared across the galaxy. Their reputation was unyielding. Humans were primitive and untrustworthy, and anyone tampering with Aurelian technology could face severe consequences. Before he could react, Lyra appeared at his side. Her expression was calm but resolute. "Stay here," she said. "Do not move. I will handle them." Ethan's hands tightened into fists. "Handle them, Lyra?" "They could destroy your ship. They could destroy us." She gave him a small, confident smile. "They will see reason. If they witness your work, they must see the results before judgment." The Aurelian ships landed with smooth precision, forming a circle around the outpost. Their hatches opened and armored officers emerged. They moved gracefully but with clear authority, scanning the workshop and the surrounding area. Their attention was immediately drawn to Ethan. "You are human," one of them stated, voice firm and cold. "Explain your presence and your involvement with this Aurelian vessel." Ethan stepped forward cautiously. "I am Ethan Cole, mechanic. The ship was damaged. I repaired it." "That's all?" The officer's eyes narrowed. "Humans do not possess the skill to manipulate our technology. Why should we believe your claim?" Ethan swallowed. This was it, the moment where all his work, his ingenuity, and his determination would be judged. He knew that he could not lie, but he also knew that the truth spoke louder than words. Lyra stepped forward, placing herself between Ethan and the officers. "Without him, I would have been stranded," she said firmly. "He repaired my ship using human tools and creativity. His work is precise, his understanding profound. You will see it yourselves." The officers hesitated. Aurelians valued perfection, and the idea that a human could approach their technology was almost impossible to accept. But they obeyed Lyra's command, moving to inspect the ship. Ethan felt a mixture of anxiety and determination. He knew that every detail mattered. One mistake, one misstep, and the officers could declare him unworthy. He stepped closer to the ship, pointing out the repairs he had made. These circuits were damaged, he explained. I created connectors using human components to restore the flow. This stabilizer was rebuilt using scrap parts, but it maintains energy levels safely. I tested every system multiple times. The officers examined the ship, their expressions shifting from skepticism to careful consideration. They ran scans, checked circuits, and tested propulsion. Every result confirmed Ethan's work. The ship was functioning, not perfectly but beyond expectations for any human repair. One of the officers finally spoke. This is extraordinary. The repairs you have done exceed our calculations. A human has demonstrated a level of ingenuity previously thought impossible. Ethan's heart raced. He had feared punishment, but now it seemed that the Aurelians might recognize his abilities. But the moment of relief was short-lived. Another officer stepped forward, his voice sharp. Extraordinary or not, humans are not authorized to manipulate Aurelian technology. Protocol demands a review and punishment may still be necessary. Lyra's expression hardened. You will not punish him, she said firmly. Without him I would have perished. He is not merely competent, he is extraordinary. You are seeing the potential of humanity itself. The officers exchanged glances, clearly divided. They valued adherence to protocol, yet they could not deny the evidence before them. Ethan had repaired a ship that even their best engineers could not have fixed without the proper tools and resources. One of the senior officers, tall and imposing, approached Ethan. Human, your skills are undeniable. But why did you attempt this repair? Did you understand the risk? Ethan met the officer's gaze. I didn't think about the risk. I thought about the problem. I thought about what needed to be done. Machines don't care about rules. They need solutions. The officer studied him for a long moment. You think like an Aurelian engineer, but your methods are unorthodox, Ethan shrugged. Unorthodox works if it works. Lyra smiled faintly, impressed by his courage. The officers continued their inspections, checking every repair Ethan had made. Each system passed their tests, and each success added to the officers' grudging respect. Finally, the senior officer spoke again. It is clear that this human possesses remarkable skill. His work has not only saved your life, but it has improved systems we did not expect to function this way. He has exceeded expectations. Ethan exhaled, relief flooding through him. The moment of fear had passed, replaced by an unexpected acknowledgement. Lyra stepped closer to him. You have done more than repair a ship, she said softly. You have shown them the potential of humanity. They may never forget this day. The officers conferred briefly among themselves. The decision was made. Instead of punishment, Ethan was offered a rare opportunity, a place among Aurelian engineers to share knowledge and bridge the gap between human and Aurelian technology. Ethan was stunned. You want me to work with you? The officer nodded. Your methods, your ingenuity, and your creativity are assets that must be shared. You will serve not as a subordinate, but as an equal collaborator. Lyra's eyes shone with pride. You have earned this, Ethan. Not because of rank or wealth, but because of skill, heart, and determination. Ethan felt a warmth he had never known. Recognition, respect, and opportunity. All for simply doing what humans do best, solve problems and persevere. The senior officer extended his hand. Welcome to the Aurelian Collaborative Program. Your journey is just beginning, human. Ethan shook his hand, feeling a surge of excitement. He had never imagined that repairing a ship could lead to such a monumental change in his life. Yet here he was, about to step into a world of possibilities, bridging the gap between human creativity and Aurelian precision. Lyra smiled beside him. This is only the beginning. The galaxy is vast, Ethan, and humans are far more capable than anyone believes. Ethan laughed quietly, his nerves finally settling. Guess it's time to show them what humans can really do. The Aurelian officers departed, leaving Ethan and Lyra alone at the outpost. The silver ship gleamed under the sun, humming softly as though aware of the moment. Ethan approached it, running a hand along its smooth surface. You didn't just fix my ship, Lyra said, her voice soft. You changed the way our worlds see each other. Ethan smiled. I just listened and fixed what needed fixing, that's all. But both of them knew it was more than that. The repair had not only saved a life, but had opened doors that humans had never imagined. Across the galaxy, stories would be told of the human mechanic who defied expectations, solved impossible problems, and earned respect from one of the most advanced civilizations. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, Ethan and Lyra prepared the ship for departure. Ethan knew that this was not the end of his journey, but a new beginning. He would travel, learn, and prove that humans, no matter how small or underestimated, could rise to meet any challenge. And as the ship lifted into the sky, carrying Lyra toward the stars, Ethan looked out over the outpost, feeling a deep sense of pride. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, but he had already made his mark, a human who refused to be limited by expectations, a mechanic whose heart and mind could reach farther than any technology alone. Somewhere out there, humans would be remembered not for weakness but for brilliance, courage, and the power to surprise even the most advanced civilizations. Ethan smiled, ready for whatever challenges awaited. The galaxy had noticed him now, and he was determined not to disappoint. The stars stretched endlessly above the cruiser as it sailed through the silent void of space. Ethan Cole stood at the viewing deck, hands resting on the cool metal railing, eyes fixed on the galaxy that had once seemed so distant and unreachable. He could hardly believe how far he had come in such a short time. A simple human mechanic from a dusty outpost, now working alongside Aurelian engineers on ships and technologies that stretched imagination itself. Beside him, Lyra Voss moved with her usual grace, adjusting panels on a nearby workstation. She glanced at Ethan and smiled. "You've adapted faster than I expected," she said, her tone playful but proud. "Most humans would have been overwhelmed by the systems here. Yet you thrive," Ethan chuckled softly. "I guess I just look at the problem and figure it out. That's what humans do." Her eyes sparkled. "You've shown them more than skill. You've shown them human creativity, determination, and courage." "The entire fleet has been talking about your work." Ethan shook his head in disbelief. "Talking about me? I'm just fixing things." "Fixing things?" Lyra raised an eyebrow. "You repaired a ship that even our most advanced engineers would have struggled with. You took something impossible and made it possible. That is not just fixing things. That is brilliance." Ethan felt warmth spread through him. He had never sought recognition, never desired fame. All he wanted was to repair what was broken. And now, the galaxy itself recognized that humans were more capable than anyone had believed. Their daily routine aboard the cruiser was intense but rewarding. Ethan spent his days working on hybrid systems, integrating human ingenuity with Aurelian precision. He designed connectors, stabilized energy flows, and even developed new modules that improved ship performance. Every time a system functioned better than expected, he felt a quiet pride. Humans, he realized, could innovate in ways that machines alone never could. Lyra often observed him quietly, learning from his methods. She noted how he approached problems differently, not strictly by theory but by intuition, experimentation, and persistence. Aurelians were skilled, logical, and precise, but Ethan's creativity added something new to their technology. Unpredictably effective solutions born from human experience. One afternoon, while testing a newly designed engine module, an alarm suddenly rang through the cruiser. Lights flashed, and a low hum of alert vibrations filled the deck. Ethan's heart leapt. "What's happening?" he asked, rushing to a console. Lyra's expression was focused. "A nearby colony is experiencing a severe energy failure. Their systems are collapsing. They've requested immediate assistance. It seems you're needed again." Ethan's mind raced. The colony was human, located on a distant, newly settled planet. The Aurelian fleet had long assisted in emergencies for their own species, but humans were often considered secondary, their settlements small and inconsequential. Yet now, with Ethan aboard, they had the chance to demonstrate what humans could do. The cruiser altered its course, traveling faster than Ethan had ever experienced, guided by Aurelian navigation systems enhanced with his hybrid modules. As they approached the colony, he could see the chaos below. Energy lines flickered and failed. Automated systems shut down and human settlers ran to secure vital equipment. Ethan felt a surge of determination. He descended to the colony alongside Aurelian engineers, carrying tools and equipment. The settlers were startled but quickly recognized him. "You're the mechanic who fixed the Aurelian ship," one child exclaimed. Ethan smiled, kneeling to inspect a damaged power core. Looks like I'm back at work, he said lightly, but inside he felt the weight of responsibility. Every repair he made now had far-reaching consequences. Lives depended on his skill, creativity, and quick thinking. The repairs were challenging. The energy systems were ancient, patched together from both human and alien technology. Ethan analyzed the flow of power, tracing faults and improvising solutions. He fashioned connectors from scrap materials, rerouted energy with temporary stabilizers, and worked tirelessly to restore the colony's systems. Lyra assisted, providing insights into advanced Aurelian technology and helping coordinate the team. Her respect for Ethan had grown even deeper. Here was a human who did not simply follow instructions. He understood, adapted, and innovated in real time. Every fix he made was a small miracle, a testament to human ingenuity. Hours passed. The sun set behind the distant mountains of the colony as Ethan worked feverishly, adjusting circuits, reconnecting energy flows, and testing stabilizers. Finally, the main power core hummed steadily, lights flickering back to life, machines whirring in perfect rhythm. The settlers cheered, and even the Aurelian engineers exchanged impressed glances. Lyra turned to Ethan, eyes bright with admiration. You did it. Not just for the ship, but for them. For humanity. Ethan smiled, wiping sweat from his brow. I just fixed what was broken. That's all. But it was never just for Ethan. The colony's systems were stable again, and humans across that sector had witnessed something extraordinary. A simple mechanic had saved lives, restored hope, and proven that humans were not limited by technology or perception. The Aurelian officers present made a decision. Ethan's methods would be documented, studied, and shared across the fleet. His ingenuity would influence future designs, bridging the gap between human creativity and Aurelian precision. Humans would no longer be underestimated, at least not entirely. As night fell over the colony, Ethan stood beside Lyra, looking at the stars. The repaired ship gleamed softly in the distance, ready for future journeys. Ethan realized that this moment marked a turning point, not just in his life, but in humanity's place in the galaxy. You've done more than repair machines, Lyra said softly. You've repaired how humans are seen. Your actions will echo far beyond this colony. Ethan laughed quietly. I never thought fixing a few circuits could do so much. Lyra smiled. It wasn't just the circuits. It was your mind, your heart, and your determination. That is what made the difference. In the following months, Ethan's reputation grew. Humans across several colonies began contacting him, seeking guidance, knowledge, and collaboration. He trained others, sharing techniques that combined simplicity, creativity, and ingenuity. Aurelian engineers came to Earth and human settlements not to teach, but to learn. Ethan had become a symbol, proof that humans, though small in numbers and technology, could achieve greatness through perseverance, creativity, and courage. Lyra remained by his side, both as a partner in engineering and as a trusted friend. Together, they pioneered hybrid systems, designed faster ships, and improved life for countless civilizations. In the final scene, Ethan stood on a viewing deck aboard a new ship, one he had helped design. The vessel bore both human and Aurelian markings, a symbol of collaboration and respect. Below, planets and stars moved past, alive with possibility. Lyra joined him, glancing at the galaxy spread before them. Do you ever imagine how far we've come? She asked. Ethan smiled, leaning against the railing. I never imagined the galaxy would care about a human mechanic. And yet, here we are, she nodded. And it's only the beginning. Humanity has shown what it can do. And with minds like yours, the galaxy will never underestimate you again. Ethan looked at the stars, feeling a quiet sense of pride. Humans were no longer insignificant observers. They were innovators, creators, and problem solvers. One mechanic from a dusty outpost had started a ripple that would change the perception of humanity forever. As the ship sailed into the vast expanse, Ethan felt a deep satisfaction. The journey had been long and challenging, filled with doubt, hard work, and moments of fear. But through it all, he had proven one truth: humans, no matter their size or resources, could rise to meet any challenge and exceed expectations. And somewhere, in the endless stretch of stars, humanity's story had changed forever, because one human had fixed the impossible, saved lives, and reminded the galaxy what it truly meant to be human. Ethan turned to Lyra. Ready for the next challenge? She smiled. Always. But remember, human, you've already made history, and the galaxy will never forget it. Ethan grinned, feeling the weight of the moment. History, pride, and responsibility all mingled together, but he felt ready. The stars awaited, full of challenges, discoveries, and adventures. And the human mechanic, once underestimated and overlooked, would be there to face them all, and with ingenuity, courage, and the heart of a true problem solver,